Hello and welcome to The Actor and the Engineer. My name is Paul James. I'm the actor.
And my name is Josh Knapp. I'm the broadcast engineer.
Here we go, Josh.
We finally have a Paul Thomas Anderson movie to talk about. I'm so excited. Do you know how excited I am? I watched all of Paul Thomas Anderson's movies in the last 3 weeks.
That's amazing.
That's how exexcited.
That's amazing.
So
you set that joke.
It was really
you set
cool.
that up wrong,
I did it.
though. You should have been like,
What?
You know how excited? How excited are you, Josh?
How excited are you?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I was kind of like, I think I can do this, and then I was able to like make the time. But yeah, it was really interesting watching, like, because he likes to work with the same kind of people or the same people, and not only actors, but also like people behind the camera, whether like he's worked with the same casting director his whole career, I think, except for maybe Hard Eight. But like that kind of thing is the only thing the thing that I was noticing by going from movie to movie to movie. So that kind of stuff that is, well, and also like cinematographer he worked with up until like Licorice Pizza, I think. So yeah, I mean, that kind of stuff is really, really cool to me to see the kind of codified group that he has and to see how he utilizes them differently. And the last thing I'll say before I let you talk at all is that it really made me understand even more how much of a gift Philip Seymour Hoffman was. And it made me really sad that we won't ever get to see him be in another movie, because he is completely different in every single Paul Thomas Anderson movie, like not even close. And watching him in Hard Eight, which I remembered that he was in it, but he's only in it for one scene, and he plays such a jerk, just an a-hole, just like the worst kind of guy. And then he kind of goes through and he plays a different kind of a-hole in Punch Drunk Love, but then he's Scotty and Boogie Nights, and it's just he can do it all. And then plays the master, you know. Come on.
And then the nurse in Magnolia.
Yeah.
So yeah,
the only like good person in Magnolia.
What's wrong with
like,
Scotty?
The only like in Magnolia.
Yeah, I know, but the only
the
good
kid.
person,
The kid
the
is
only
also
good
good.
person in Magnolia.
The only good adult.
Got it.
Yeah.
Well,
in Magnolia.
Yeah, that's a little. There's a lot of.
Everybody's very complicated in Magnolia.
Sure.
Everybody's very complicated in all of Paul Thomas Anderson's movies, this one included. So, what was your kind of lead up to this? Did you watch any of his movies?
No, not at all.
So you're telling me I'm an overachiever, is what you're saying?
No, I love the fact that you did that. And if I had time, and this last week has been crazy. I mean, I thought I was going to have some downtime, and I did, but I kind of wasted it. I kind of watched like the Halloween Bacon Championship, and I finished Sex and the City, all 6 seasons, and not just recently, but over the course of time. And then I started Lovecraft Country. And then and then I'm going to finish Boardwalk Empire. So I've been kind of, and I also saw History of Sound, Hamilton in the theater, and a couple of other things at home. So that
is cool.
Yeah. I was going to do a Paul Thomas Anderson rabbit hole, but I don't need to. I will eventually one day, because I would like to do that. But I didn't feel like I needed it to lead up to this film, because honestly, if you had not told me it was a PTA film, it might have taken me, it wouldn't take me long, but this one felt completely different than all the rest. And then I started to think to myself, it looks completely different than all the rest too. But then I thought, what one looks similar? What one is similar? What subject matter is similar, other than complicated family members, which kind of Magnolia has, and this has, and Boogie Nights has. I mean, it's a family of porno makers, even Hard Eight. So there are similarities, but it's about tone and attitude and dialogue. Some of the most interesting dialogue is in PTA movies. It just is. Like you at first, this movie, One Battle After Another, the first like 10 minutes of it, until you see Sean Penn the first time, I was like, what's this normal stuff? Like, what is this? This is all.
This is just an action movie.
This is normal. Yeah. Where is it at? And then that scene happens, and she says, "Get up." And I was like, "Wait, what?" And I instinctually knew that's not what she meant. That she meant what we got. And I was like, "Oh, yeah, there it is." I was like, "Oh, yep, okay, buckle up."
Yeah, PTA's kind of a pervert.
Well, I wouldn't say pervert. I would say he presents characters that we don't. They're Shakespearean in a way because they're not archetypes. They're not stereotypes. They're not things we've seen before. It's like Shakespeare meets David Mamet. They had a baby and it's PTA because his dialogue is very specific. It's very structured rhythmatically like Mamet, and it's very poetic like Shakespeare. But it's got I wouldn't say pervert. I would say a very adult, borderline rated X ideas, but also squirming in my seat. I'm uncomfortable. I'm not exactly sure why, but why am I laughing at that? And is it wrong for me to laugh at that? And wait, am I supposed to feel bad for him? Wait, is this actually going to play out to where he has to walk? And it does. And that to me is subversive and brave. You state something, you give the audience an idea, because instinctually I knew quite a few things were going to happen before they happened in this film. And I think that's because he's a genius. Paul Thomas Anderson is a genius. And the way he writes gives you just a split second where you go, oh, yeah, it did happen. And so why am I laughing at that scene with Sean Penn? Does that make me a pervert? Does that make me? I mean, what does that make me? And it changes your idea of what you're watching. It changes your idea of how you see the world. And I think that's genius. I think this is the best movie of the year so far. It might be my favorite movie of the year so far. It's stacked with incredible performances, and I'm going to state it right up front. Sean Penn's going to more than likely win his third Oscar. He is stellar in this. That is prime example of what I'm talking about. What the hell was that character doing? And his demise at the end is crazy. This movie is just, I don't even know what adjective to use. I want to say spectacular, but I don't think that's the right word. Yeah. It is moody. It is temperamental. It is, what is it?
I think it's on another level. You're right. It is elevated. It's elevated in the same way that Sinners this year was elevated. And I think that even though other people may disagree, that Civil War was elevated last year.
I agree.
And I think all three of those movies.
What was the second one?
Take Sinners.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm. Good one.
All three of those movies, they take characters that we've seen before, and they take tropes that we've seen before, but they take them to a different level. They make the characters more complicated and less rote. I just, when I was thinking about this, I was thinking about Civil War last year, and that scene where Wagner Moura kind of essentially like really like hits on the Kaylee Spaney character when she's, he's like, oh, well, you can sleep out here on the, like right next to me, and like I can cuddle with you and all that. And it's just like, dude, this guy's like supposed to be like a good journalist, like fighting for truth and, fighting against but he's still a bit skeevy, and so like, but Alex Garland leaves that in there. Paul Thomas Anderson makes all of these characters complex, difficult characters, sometimes difficult to root for, sometimes difficult to figure out why would they do this. And I think because he spent all this time formulating these characters, and because he's very good with incisive dialogue, he's able to open up, allow other people to have discussions about the characters. And once again, he did a commentary for Boogie Nights, hasn't done a commentary since, because I think that he has said as much, that he doesn't want to like tamp down, he doesn't want to constrain the conversations around his movies. I know Quentin Tarantino is somewhat similar, but there have been so many good conversations that I've seen online and conversations that I've had with people about like, what is this character? Is this a good character? Is this, and I think what Paul Thomas Anderson does well is write real characters, like not obviously real people, but he writes characters that have the complexities and the nuances of real people. and does it in 2 hours and 40 minutes. So that is very hard to do. He's also, we talk about all the time, you even talked about it a little bit now, he's also a master of tone, which is why he can have comedic elements, which is why he can lean in on those things. And when you've got somebody like Leonardo DiCaprio and Benicio del Toro, both of which who've been great in comedies, and just Leonardo DiCaprio working with Scorsese in Wolf of Wall Street. I mean, he's hilarious.
Catch Me If You Can.
Yeah, Catch Me If You Can with Spielberg in One Battle After Another, in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood with Quentin Tarantino. Like, he knows how to play arch. He knows how to play big, and he does great in this. He's so good, especially from the prologue into the main portion of the film. But his performance is the least exciting to me.
Well, that's because when is he not good? That's what somebody
true.
asked me, is he Oscar worthy? I go, when is he not? Name one movie that he's done that if he was nominated for Blood Diamond, and a lot of people don't like that movie, right? You can't name one of his movies that if he had been nominated for, it wouldn't have been deserving of at least the nomination for whatever that matrix is worth, whatever that statistic is worth, or that value is worth. And in this, does he do anything he hasn't already done? No, technically he doesn't. But does it matter? Like, he is moment to moment perfection. There is, I cannot think of one moment. And I started to think about, well, is there a movie where there's a scene where I'm like, I don't really like him in that? No. He almost steals Marvin's room from Diane Keaton and Meryl Streep. He kind of does for a split second. I mean, he's nominated for Gilbert Grape, and a lot of people were like scared that this special needs person was going to the Oscars. Not scared, just like, I hope they take care of him type of thing. And then he goes to the Oscars, and they're like, wait, what? I mean, he's great in basketball. When is he not great is the point. Yeah. So it's almost unfair. Like, if he doesn't get the nomination, it's whatever that means, right? If he doesn't get the nomination, it's only because people are now, there's a standard and a level that he has played at for such a long time. He is inconceivable in how great he is sometimes. I cannot, I see Leo, but I also see the character. That's a hard thing to do.
Because he's a star who can open movies.
Yeah.
Which we have very few of those people right now. We've got Tom Cruise.
Tom Hanks.
We've got Tom Hanks.
Although that's been,
he's been doing Apple movies for the last few years.
Yeah, that's a sketchy one right there.
Yeah, and then we've got Leonardo DiCaprio on the male side. I mean, there's
Jennifer Lawrence.
I mean, yeah, if it's not tied to any kind of intellectual property, like a superhero movie or something, you're really, like, there's very few that are out there that can actually open a movie. But I think that the one thing that I've learned from you, and you talking about acting, is that the scenes with him and Benicio del Toro, especially, like, essentially, like, once he gets to the dojo, once he gets to Sensei's dojo and is looking for a charger, like, that is Leonardo DiCaprio playing an action, and that is and he's so focused on that, everything follows from that. And similarly, Benicio del Toro is playing the opposite of that. He's so centered and calm and doesn't allow the Bob character. Yeah, he is. He's Sensei, but doesn't allow the Bob character to affect his attitude, even though he's finding out simultaneously from Bob and from his wife, like, there's some bad stuff going on. You're going to have to completely change your whole night. There's people coming after us. All the people we've been helping out are going to, be rounded up if we don't do anything. And he's like, nope, I'm going to put on my boots. I'm going to lock up. I'm going to, bow to the tatami mat, and I'm going to move on. I'm going to
tell him to bow. He takes
Yes,
yeah,
I'm going to make sure he gets off of the mat.
You know what the best part of that whole sequence is? I laughed so loud, and for such a long period of time, I embarrassed myself. I didn't care because it was hysterical. When Benicio del Toro goes, "Come on, get up, vamonos, come on," to all of the Underground Railroad people who are in the house, and all of a sudden they split, and there's Leo trying to plug in his phone or trying to charge his phone,
and he sits
like,
down,
and he gets scolded, and he's like, I'm trying to and he, not you. I'm not yelling at you. That was hilarious. The look on Leo's face is so hilarious. I found a don't yell at me. I'm coming. And the look on Benicio del Toro. It's okay. Bobby, you're okay. You took a banana when you should have taken an orange. You're like a little kid does the wrong thing. And the look on both of their faces. It's so good. So good.
It is so good the way that they play that, and all of that like kind of like comes to a head at probably the funniest scene, like single scene, is Bob's call with the Resistance.
Hysterical.
And that to me also, luckily nobody said to me like, Comrade Josh, get a better name, just like, because the guy's name was Comrade Josh. I was like, oh, why does it have to be Josh?
Yeah, of course it is.
Come on.
That's okay. Do you know there's a Paul James in a film?
Oh, really?
Yeah. Do you remember that Paul Rudd, Jennifer Aniston film where he was gay and she was in love with him, and years ago, romantic comedy, and he dates a Paul James.
No way.
Yeah,
That's funny.
It was weird because you're like, what? Like, I've never heard my name put together. I've obviously heard Paul and I've heard James, but I've heard Mr. James and that kind of stuff, but I've never heard Paul James. Like, what would be the choice? Thing. Like, why that? Like, it's such a simple name to be put together. Like, maybe I don't know. I mean,
your parents liked it,
obviously. Obviously.
Well, I did want to talk about the women in this movie because there's some amazing performances. Chase Infinity was just lights out throughout, even though she's in like 2 hours of the 2 hour and 40-minute movie, but she's able to. This is her first movie.
Unbelievable.
I mean, I know she's been in like done choreography or something, or she's like been a dancer or something, but I just, the fact that this is her first movie. What Paul Thomas Anderson can do, like what his casting people can do, obviously, and what he can do with like extracting a performance from someone who doesn't have a track record. She's able to simultaneously be a kid, like be a high schooler, but then also be super responsible. Obviously, she's essentially playing the mother of Leo's character, Bob. She's making sure he gets home safely.
She's the voice of reason.
Trying to make sure to keep him on the rails because he's completely burned out because he's not in the Resistance anymore, and he's super freaked out about helicopters and people coming to take his daughter away. He ends
up being right.
Yep.
Straight down the line, he ends up being right, and her training kicked in.
It did. And did you notice that when he goes out we haven't said any spoilers, but I mean, we're getting there. But when he goes down the tunnel and comes out and he grabs his go bag, did you notice that his daughter's go bag is attached to his go bag and he carries it the whole way? And his daughter's go bag is like a little kid's pink backpack. Because
they've been prepared.
Which means that he has not refreshed that. They haven't gone back there for 10 years probably. So, but it's still there and he still knows where it is. But it's one of those things where like early on he was really freaked out, and then over time he's become less on guard directly and more on guard in a paranoia sense. I think I'm sure the weed probably doesn't help.
Well, I mean, is it paranoia when it comes true? If you
paranoia until it comes true,
right?
Yeah.
Well, okay, yeah, absolutely. But if it comes true, then it wasn't paranoia. It's like
it's justified paranoia if it does come true.
Okay, that's fair. Yeah. That's fair. Yeah, she's a talent. I just kept saying she's a star. This is a star-making film. There's been debate, of course, already about whether or not she's the lead or supporting character. In my opinion, if she gets nominated, she'll be nominated in the supporting character slot, which is fine for me because it's his movie. She's there to support his story. But without her, you couldn't do the movie per se because...
Well, the movie, the force of the movie, the plot of the movie wouldn't happen without her.
Correct. Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. Without her character. But that doesn't
Yeah.
necessarily make her a main character. There's plenty of movies out there
That's true.
where a supporting character is the catalyst to the event, but they're no
Like Helen of Troy and Troy.
Right, there you go. That's a good way to look at it. But they're neither the antagonist or the protagonist. They're just the match that lit the narrative, the fire of the narrative. But she is phenomenal. She is so strong, and her presence, like that it factor, she has it. She bold-faced lies to Regina Hall and Leonardo DiCaprio about the phone. Bold-faced, no.
Mm-hmm.
And I believed her. I believed her because all the other training kicked in when she's in the bathroom trying to figure out later on, she said, I've been doing this my whole life. If somebody says that to me, I'm supposed to do this. And then it kicks in. And I was like, okay, so she's done the right thing. She's paid attention to this, irregardless of it being 16, 17 years of nothing and only hearing about the pot smoking, drinking, paranoia, bathrobe wearing Adam Sandler character who is, I kept thinking about Adam Sandler and what it would be like if he was in this movie. I don't know why. This is weeks after I saw it. Yeah, I thought it would be interesting. I thought it would have been an interesting choice.
It wasn't a PTA movie, so
yeah.
But I did notice the second time I watched the movie. I've seen it twice, but when I heard her get into the car with her friends as she's going to the dance, the first thing she says is, "Hey, do you have a charger? I need to charge my phone, or my phone's dead." So she says that in the car. So as a movie going audience, we should know that she does have a phone, so that when she says she doesn't have a phone to Regina Hall, we know that she's lying.
Interesting. I remembered it now that you said it, but I
believed her. It didn't register the first time.
It didn't register for me at all. Yeah.
The second time.
Good. That's oh Jesus.
It's that one line, you know?
Yeah. Listen, people debate this all the time, and we've discussed this. Are we in the golden age of Hollywood reinventing itself? Are we losing big movies on big screens? Are we this? Are we that? Are we this? Are we that? I never think that way. I think I'm living in the time with PTA's movies. My life has been filled with his movies, and I am. Yeah. I don't know if I'm better off or a better person or whatever, but artistically speaking, he just has a way of satisfying something, a thirst I didn't even know I needed. I didn't need to hear about what year does Phantom Thread take place? Is that the 50s? When is that?
Yeah, 50s, yeah. Late 50s.
A dressmaker in the 50s? What would I need in my life about that? But I adore that movie. Like, I love it. The Master. Another great example, the Scientologist tie-in, all this other stuff that you heard about. No, it's not true. The first time I watched it, I was like, I don't see any of that stuff. Not really. I sort of see it. The second or third time I saw it, I was like, oh, there it is. Oh, there it is. So, I mean, I know he probably couldn't handle people saying they think he's a genius, but what he has done in our lifetime with movies is unique. And only he can do it like that. You can say that about a lot of the great filmmakers, no doubt.
That's true.
Kubrick,
but at the same time, though,
Tarantino, all of them. But
at the same time, though, I listened to the DGA podcast. It was a Q&A between PTA and Steven Spielberg. Steven Spielberg was interviewing him, and the interview was essentially like Steven Spielberg being the Chris Farley character on Saturday Night Live, and like, remember when you had your character say this? Oh, remember when your character said that? Like, I mean, that is exactly, and it's one of the greatest living directors of all time. Who's like, yeah, like I've seen it 3 times, and I had to repeat this part like multiple times because it's so fun. Like, he's totally geeking out.
Spielberg, speak for all of us. I mean, because that's exactly what you want to do when you're talking about these films, because they have an emotional impact on you. They have a heart-pounding, blood-rushing effect on you. They have a psychologically, sexually weirdness about them that has an effect on you. He is unique. And like I said, in the first 10 minutes, I was like, what's happening here? Where is it? Where is it? And then it happens, and then it doesn't stop happening. Mm-hmm. And then some of the other sex scenes that happen, my brother and I got into a huge discussion about it because he loved it too. And I wrote some notes down. That's how much I love this movie. I wrote notes down. Yeah, it doesn't happen often. But anyway, like, and the interpretation my brother had of a particular scene, it happens to be one of the sex scenes, and the interpretation I had, I was like, I'm not exactly sure how to tell my brother what I think is happening in this scene because I do not want to discuss something like this with my brother on any level. But I don't think that that's what you think is happening. I think actually what I think is happening is happening.
Geez.
And it was really kind of hard to dance around it. And finally, I just said it out loud. I think this is what happened. And he was like, I would have never thought that. And I was like, but that's PTA. Like, I don't know if I'm right. I don't know if he's wrong. And I don't know.
That's the benefit of, like, I mean, I've had discussions and I've read a lot of stuff about Teyana Taylor's character. Teyana Taylor,
brilliant.
by the way, like, I don't know how many people could be that kind of a character where she's powerful and she is feminine and she is confident, but she's conflicted and she has so much going on internally, and we watch her try to work through things, and she's only in 30 minutes of the movie.
That would be the nomination I would want the most.
Wow.
That would be
because for supporting, right?
Well, because
'cause she's only in 30 minutes.
Give her to her best. I don't care what she gets nominated for. Give her whatever, guest star, whatever. That I don't know what point you were going to end up making, but
well, I was just going to say the way that she plays that character, you can look at that character as a complete villain. You can look at that character as misunderstood. You could look at that character as a hero. You could look at that character as sacrificial, because there's things to be said about, like, you know, why she ratted everybody out. Spoiler alert. It's in the first 40 minutes. Okay, spoilers from now on. But you can look at how she, you know, ratted everybody out. But, you know, at what point is she, like, you know, there's a reading of it. It's like she ratted everybody out and then she skipped town and left and went down to Mexico so that she could keep Lockjaw from coming after her child, so that she could be a part of the resistance in a different way. Like, those are all up to interpretation, but that's people putting, their input into it. And it's not PTA saying, this is what this character is, and this is only what this character is. It's a way more complex character than a lot of people that I've seen online purport that she is. A lot of people that looking at it in a negative light seem to think of her as a very one-dimensional character. And I think that is not what PTA wrote. That is not how Teyana Taylor played the character. It's the opposite.
She goes, that's okay. This is why I don't do online stuff, because I don't have the ability to be articulate in words, typing words. I just am not good at that. I don't know. It's just not a skill I have ever really developed, and I always misspell things, and I can't get my point across, and I always sound much more get off my yard than I want to, like angry man all the time. So that's part of my hesitation. But the other part is I don't even know how to approach if this conversation came up in a party and it was a group of people, I would walk away, because I don't know how to discuss with somebody who saw that movie and says that that's a one-dimensional character. And this is the Oscar nominatable scene, and the scene they should show if she is nominated is when she's walking out and she basically says, this is who I am. And you know what? You knew it. You knew it. So don't be surprised. There's also a sense of the sadness of leaving her child. You can see it on her face. You can see it. You can see the love she has for her kid when she mentions the daughter's name. Her face changes just subtly. One-dimensional, it's ridiculous. She has too many dimensions on some level, because the rationale that she goes through, it's heart-pounding, because you're like, okay, I don't want to judge you, but I am judging you. And how could you leave your kid? All that other stuff. But why is she leaving her kid? Is the question.
At that point in the movie, we don't know as much as she knows.
Right. So is she keeping the baby safe? But in that performance, that's there. I got the sense of that. And there's a look of disappointment on her face when she turns to him and goes, this is who I am. Basically, I don't remember the lines, but you knew that. And she's disappointed that he's questioning that. Of course I'm leaving. Of course I'm on to the next mission. This is who I am. All of that. You knew it when I was pregnant. And maybe there's a sense of her getting away from the baby because of what we find out later on about the parentage of the baby, which I didn't even think about until it actually is exposed in the film. Like, I didn't suspect that the daughter wasn't who her dad wasn't who we thought she was. Everybody else I've talked about kind of thought, oh, well, yeah, maybe. But here's another interesting thing, because you never see Sean Penn and her having traditional sex in the movie. I mean, you're assuming that obviously they have.
Well, she does like climb onto him.
That's true. That's true.
That's the end of that.
Correct.
Scene,
it ends right before there's a definitive, that's what they're doing. And that brings us to that uncomfortable scene where she she turns Sean Penn around on the wall and then she drops down. I think she's doing something completely different than my brother thought she was doing. But the point is that those are untraditional sex scenes for a reason. It says something about Sean Penn's character.
Yep.
He is this uber toxic masculinity at its best, and he does everything as a patriot. But yet, that's what he chooses to let a woman do to him.
Yeah, he's also a leader, and he has power. And so the fact that someone else is powerful enough to take over him, to overtake him,
and to do things sexually that you would think that character would never be into. It's so complex and dimensional. Everything about those very specific, because you think they're role playing, but are they? You think that they're...
Well, at any time she could kill him, and at any time he could kill her. That's the juice. Right. Like that's what they're into.
Yeah, 100%. But it seems like a game at first. Throughout the whole entire thing. And there are, people do have their role-playing games that they play sexually.
But also then the actual scene is played for a certain amount of comedy due to the needle drop, which is the Shirelles Soldier Boy. So, I mean, it's also PTA right there. I knew that there were going to be needle drops, and Licorice Pizza. Man, watching that movie again, oh my gosh.
I got to see it again.
The music in that movie is just perfect. But in this movie, it's a little bit sparser. The needle drop's a little bit sparser. But that Soldier Boy needle drop, and then the Dirty Work, the Steely Dan song when we first see Chase Infinity is so good. Both of those were just like top notch to me. I did also want to talk about Johnny Greenwood's score, which is different than his other scores, but elicits the same emotions that his other scores elicit.
It's much more bombastic.
Yeah, it's unnerving, but it's also it's really in your face, and like some of the pieces in There Will Be Blood are in your face, but at the same time, it's able to play for a long time. It feels like there's like one piece of music, especially at the end on that River of Hills scene that just plays for like 20 minutes. It seems like it's just like 20 minutes, and it's very percussive, and it's just very driving, but it's also just unnerving. It's not annoying. It's just like, it's nagging. It's constantly there. It's always there. And so it seems like that's hard to do, because I think as a filmmaker, PTA has to have a lot of faith in Johnny Greenwood's score to make it such a big part of his movie and a big part of the climactic portions of this movie. Because this is the first time he's really done like straight up action and tried to wrench people's emotions in that way versus, a scene where Adam Sandler carries a phone handset across multiple states. That's another way of having tension, but it's totally different than car crashes. So yeah, it's done really well, and it just makes you wonder. It's just like, I don't think he was trying to like challenge himself necessarily. I think that he just wanted to tell this story probably.
Yeah, and serves the story.
Mike DeLuca, who helped him make Magnolia and vouched for him way back then when New Line was around, is now a co-head of Warner Brothers, and got him $160 million, or some say $200 million. And you're like doubling his biggest budget
And look what you get.
And you get, I mean, you get amazing performances, you get great vistas, you get technology that hasn't been used in, 60 years, other than The Brutalist, obviously. But we talked a bunch about VistaVision, and I did not get to see it in IMAX, and I wasn't in, like, the closest place that's playing it on film is in Washington, D.C., so I didn't go up there.
I was just there last night.
Oh my gosh! Did you watch it there, or you did something else?
Oh, I went to a concert, yeah.
Okay, all right.
If I had known, we would have gone early.
Whew. Oh man. So it is on 70 millimeter film there, but still, I mean, it's that's what you get for your money. So that, and I think that it's worth it. I think it's worth it.
Since you did go down this road, no pun intended, let's talk about that last chase scene. We can go back and forth if we need to, because there's a few things that I wrote down that I do want to talk about. But you said that this is one of the first times. Isn't there a chase sequence in Inherent Vice? Isn't there a couple chase sequences in Inherent Vice? No?
There is. So there's.
And there's.
Closer to the end, I think that there is, with Bigfoot and
okay,
yeah,
and then Licorice Pizza has a very kinetic movement.
So Licorice Pizza, but that is it's with
chase
the truck, not a chase scene, but it's also that it's using a vehicle. But really, I mean, half of that could have been shot on stage,
Oh yeah, absolutely. And the way that they're running with each other at some point is very, very cinematically.
Oh yeah,
chase
but that's
sequence.
a doll. I mean, that's like
100%. Yeah, 100%. But I'm talking about that
actual
kind of kinetic movement that a chase sequence gives you. And then, so let's finally do a chase sequence, he says to himself. Let's put that in a movie. And then how do you film it? He films it in one of the most original, unique ways I've ever seen. I've never seen that before.
I've never seen it. I haven't either.
When you see it, you go, how does this not exist? And the end of the chase sequence, the pin, the period, the exclamation point is just... He nails it. Because I did not foresee that was coming. I literally thought she was trying to use the ability to go up and down to get away from him. I did not foresee that she was smart enough to do what she ends up doing.
I think that this is a testament to the editing of this movie. So it's a 2 hour and 40-minute long movie. It's got to be difficult to edit. There's so much in there. There's a lot of stuff I think that they didn't put in either. But the first time I watched that movie, it got to the point where I was like, this chase scene is going on for a very long time. And I started paying attention to the sequence of the shots.
My brother did
and
too.
The shots were her, going up and then coming down and then looking back and seeing when he shows up in her rearview mirror. And we start getting that. It's like he starts hitting you on the head.
Yeah.
And the more he hits you on the head, you're like, okay, this must be important because he keeps hitting me on the head with this. And then you lock into that and you're like, and my thought was like, oh, she should totally do this. And like within 20 seconds, she did that.
That's what she did. Well, I was fooled by that being done a million times before in films where you're looking in your rearview mirror. And my brother said it's distinctively different in the fact that he's hitting all of those notes of looking in the mirror, but most people turn around and look. She never once turns around. She's timing that the whole entire time. But to the regular movie-going audience who's seen these kind of chase sequences before, it didn't dawn on me that it was actually being plotted out to a degree. And I just thought he got into the rhythm of going up and down, and that's a really cool visual. That I thought that the cars were going to hit the ground eventually. I thought they were going to speed up. I wasn't sure what was going to happen. All of which we've seen before. And then she stops the car. And I was like, wait, what? And then I was like, oh. And then it all went backwards really quick. All the way back to the very first time he comes over the hill. And I was like, oh, genius. That's genius. He subverted your idea of what you've seen before, which he does all the time. But if you had told me he would be able to do it like that in a chase sequence, Catherine Bigelow, one of the best chase sequences in
Point Break?
Yes, Point Break. I could see her doing it. Scorsese, I could see him doing it. I could see a ton. Spielberg, I could see him doing
the French Connection. I mean, he talked about the French Connection, and all that was done kind of just like Friedkin was like, we're not going to get permits. We're just going to like pay whoever we hit and move on. And I mean,
The 70s. Yeah,
So
so
the 70s.
we've seen it a million times before, but what PTA does is he does it with purpose. And I felt a little, I let myself down, that I was just expecting one thing, and I wasn't mad that it was going to be just this traditional chase sequence or whatever was going to end at the end. She was going to turn around and shoot him, because kind of that's what I thought. Like when she got out, she's going to turn around and shoot him, which would have been traditional, seen before 1,000 times. But the way that they do it in this film, I still did not know until she actually shoots him that it was going to end that way, and that she's smart enough to have calculated all of that and then seen that thing, that sign on the side of the road, and calculate that's going to work there, blah, blah, blah. Get out here, wait, time it, slow down, whatever. I can't wait to see it a second time, because I would love to see how she speeds up and slows down depending on the sequence of when she figures out. Yep. And I can watch the actress now figuring it out as she's doing it. That's one of the smartest. It's really well done. It's so well done.
It is. I think that a couple things solidify that scene for me. One is visual and one is audible. So as far as the visual is concerned, PTA was, able to, you could tell he was zooming in and zooming out. Yeah. And as he zoomed in, it looked like things were like, it just looked like things were up really, really close when they weren't. And so you're seeing not a lot of change, but you're seeing, things pop up and down and up and down. And so I think that is it does that, vertigo effect, or the Spielberg Jaws, dolly zoom type effect, where you don't really know where the road is in perspective to where you are. So it feels like the road's kind of like attacking you. Yeah. And so there's that portion. The other thing that he did smartly is in the sound design. There's 3 cars in this chase, and we've got the white Charger, we've got the blue Mustang, and we've got the purplish Nissan, whatever that is. And they each have distinctive sounds. The Charger has a pretty decent sound. The Mustang just sounds huge, which tells me as an audience member that this guy's car is beefier than her car, and so he's gonna be able to catch her. So that inherently builds in attention. And then you've got the Nissan that's got the so you're like, oh my god, he's already behind them, and he's having to deal with like an inferior vehicle. So it's like, oh man, like how is he gonna pull this out? And it's just like it puts an obstacle in front of him, and then it also causes stress and tension as far as like the bad guy getting to her. So we've gotten this far. How come we have not yet said the Christmas Adventures Club?
I know, right? Right.
Hail Santa.
Oh.
Yeah, that's right. They do that.
Unbelievable. And Christmas music played every time.
Yeah, it did. And it was that's why when the Hark the Herald Angels Sing was sung by Ella Fitzgerald too, which is, famous black jazz singer. And it's just like, oh,
and I was like,
perfect.
Has PTA ever done Christmas? Has he ever done Christmas in his movies? I was like, he's never done Christmas in his movies. It's never like
he did New Year's Eve in Phantom Thread.
Right. That's true. Yeah. That's true. But Christmas isn't in there. You don't see trees and stuff like that. So, and there's a little bit of a car sequence in that film too, a couple of times, where Daniel Day-Lewis and her are driving down the road kind of semi faster than they probably should. But
oh my gosh.
Yeah. But then I very quickly realized that it's not Christmas time. It's that, and the subversiveness of using the Christmas adventurers, is that what they were called, is so crazy, because I love Christmas. I mean, I like the holidays, but I really like Christmas. I think it's a beautiful time. And I think any moment in this world, time to celebrate life and to celebrate the great story of Christ being born, and the whole,
it's hope. Yeah.
It is hope, and it's light, and it's beautiful, and and I'm a creative person, so I do a whole bunch of things. I already got my witches up for Halloween. I love them so much.
It's October. That's okay. Yeah, just as long as it's not like middle of August.
But see, I have a theory about that too. Why not? Who cares? Like everybody who complains
Well,
about
it doesn't hurt me.
No.
It's just like,
everybody's like, oh,
whatever.
there's Christmas, Halloween, and Thanksgiving decorations all up at the same time. Life is hard. The time to celebrate for 3 months out of the year is upon us. Let anybody do whatever they want to do. Let them play Christmas music in July. It's not hurting anybody. It's bringing joy to their life. And that season it has a dark underbelly to it, and which I realized a lot when I was in Prague last year, because that is definitely more Krampus than Santa, for sure. Not in a bad way, not in a judgmental way, just in a different, very Eastern European way. And I dug it, although
they've been through some stuff.
Yeah.
Eastern Europeans.
Yeah, they can do what they had. Real candles in the window. I flipped out like a kid in Disneyland. Like, they would be shut down in America like that. Fire codes, all of the above. Anyway, so yes, I thought, see, this is what's so interesting about this movie, above and beyond everything we've talked about. It is a political statement that he's making all the way through the movie, but you really never realize it. And he's making a very direct, at least my interpretation of it, political statement about what's going on in the world right now. And he does it in such an interesting way.
But he wrote this before Trump too and all that stuff.
But doesn't matter. Things happen things happen when they happen. Either it's a vision over visibility situation where he foresaw something, even like if he didn't put his finger on what he saw, it's awfully interesting that it came out now and it says what it says now. And the subversiveness of going through the caged camp in the beginning, yet all the kids are playing in the cages, and it like looks like fireworks all over the place with those silver bedding things that they have, or blankets and stuff like that. It's fascinating. And the fact that he chose Christmas, which is based on a beautiful event, and turned it into this white supremacist, white nationalist Christian thing.
Well, it's very similar to like the swastika that was used in Asia as a symbol,
right?
And it was all over the place,
right?
And like nobody really
India
thought
too,
about
right?
it. I mean, it had a meaning,
yeah.
And then it was co-opted by Nazis.
Right.
So I mean, it is an informative way to look back on history and to show us, that what happened in history can happen in the future, and it's just by another name. It doesn't matter what it is.
Right.
It's not like they're saying Hail Satan.
Right.
They're saying Hail Santa.
I know, but in a way, that's what they're saying.
Of course.
Without pointing their fingers and going, you bad people, you white supremacists, you this. He showed you who they were by the ridiculousness of who they were. And then their very interesting language that they use when he meets that group, when they interview Sean Penn, and then when a group meets down below at that person's house.
But it's the mundanity of it. It's so boring. Like it's so like it's a boardroom discussion. It's what are the action items? Like, I'll circle back on that. Like, it is just the emotions have been drained from it, but it is so serious. And the men in that room have a certain amount of power, and they've got a drive, and they are utilizing that and perverting that in a way that's antithetical to society. But it's so like, that's the dryness of it is the humor.
Yeah.
And we're laughing because we can't cry, and that's where it's exactly like Doctor Strangelove. It is so much like that section of the movie is so much like Doctor Strangelove.
It's a good
because
comparison.
you look at it and you say, like, there are so many things that are wrong with this. You can't but help to laugh. Yeah. Because
the
it's
language,
absurd.
it's very, you said rote, I think is the word that you said, or perfunctory, where it was just basic, like, Bueller, and they just start spewing out all of this stuff, and then they start to talk specifically about why they're looking into Sean Penn, obviously because he wants to join their adventurer club, and Hail Santa. Hysterical. Come on, that's hysterical. I laughed out loud and people looked at me and I was like, that's funny, folks.
That's hilarious.
It's hilarious. I think they were so like, whoa, because
they're like, can we laugh at this?
Yeah, well, it's also, the language is very specific, as it is throughout the whole entire film, where they're not saying it and then all of a sudden they say it, but they
Oh
say
yeah.
it in a way that they don't directly say it, because they didn't use what you traditionally would use, mudblood for like Harry Potter.
Hmm.
They don't use your traditional or stereotypical or
Slurs.
slurs to
Yeah.
describe how he might have a biracial baby. And they use certain terms, dirty, that you go, wait, what? And then they repeat it. And you're like, oh, that is when he got into the elevator, I was like, this is an eyes wide shut moment. Something's
Yeah.
going to happen here that it might have been funny if he had included some of that Kubrick soundtrack in there at that moment, because it's very much the hallway when he's walking around.
Yes.
I thought for sure we were going to
It's
see
that like
yeah,
liminal space. It's
yeah,
like this is a weird
yeah,
middle ground that
underneath
is
somebody's
not.
suburbia house whose wife / mother or whoever that woman was like, would you like a sandwich? And he's like, no, I
It was
heard.
probably his wife,
Yeah,
but yeah, like the
yeah,
older guy's
yeah.
wife. But yeah, it's just and
So
yeah, that
good.
guy.
It's a way
Yeah,
to point it out that it exists in our world without pointing a finger at it, because as soon
yeah,
as you point a finger at something like that, people are like, don't judge them, you don't know,
yeah.
they're allowed their opinion, they're allowed their views. Yeah, there's a certain
But
point where you go, no, that you're not.
yeah, exactly. But see, like they are the people that the French 75 were fighting against. That they
Right,
were the people that the resistance
right,
fighters were fighting against.
right,
And they were saying that like these are the people that are moving the levers of power within the country. Like that's what they were trying to affect.
right.
But it's not that simple. Like so the French 75 had their own issues, as an organization, and we get to see that when Bob has the phone call with Comrade Josh, and we get to see how there's a rubber meets the road portion to their freedom fighting and their resistance. And the rubber meets the road portion is, I can't remember, what time it is. And because of that, I'm not going to be able to find my daughter.
Right.
And you know where my daughter is.
Yeah.
Like that part of it is the part that it's so more realistic than a fanciful, like let's do a biopic on a resistance fighter, let's do that kind of a thing where like everybody's good and we don't want to say anything bad about these people, and like it's messy. The people in the movement are not doing the right thing. That guy on the phone was not doing the right thing because he felt righteous about his position, and he felt righteous about being, making sure that everybody follows this to the letter of the law, no matter what. And he's able, we're able to see the absurdity of that in the same way that we're able to see the absurdity of Hail Santa. And that is a complex movie, and that's a movie that you can infinitely talk about as opposed to a movie that's just a very one-dimensional, like right down the line, these are the good guys, these are the bad guys, white hat, black hat, whatever. And it's much easier to come down on the side of a particular character or against a particular character, whereas in this movie, there's so many well-written characters and so many great performances that we can talk about that Comrade Josh, and we can talk about, okay, well, is he in the right for doing that, or is he like standing in the way of progress by doing what he's doing? We can talk about the Perfidia Beverly Hills character, and like, did she do the right thing? Did she do the wrong thing? Did she do the wrong thing for the right reason? Like there's so many avenues to go down in this movie, which is why I've been constantly thinking about it more than any other movie I've seen this year.
Best movie of the year.
Yeah.
Because of that, I have not stopped thinking about it also. But I do want to make a point, though. The French 70, what were they called? French what?
French 75.
French 75. I keep wanting to say 1776. I don't know why. Their actions might not have been the best choices, but in the end, I think they were trying to do something good and right. The Christmas Adventurers, Hail Santa, were bad actions, bad results, bad people all the way around. And without the Hail Santa people, I just want to keep saying that, the French 76 wouldn't exist. Like, you don't need a resistance to a group of people.
No,
and if
you have to have something to resist
and if
against,
you didn't have a group of people who wanted to suppress and control and stay in power and keep the bloodline pure and all that stuff that they talk about. If you didn't have
Yeah.
people who did that, we wouldn't need a resistance. We wouldn't need
Yeah.
an anti-fascist movement. We wouldn't need any of that stuff. So just chill, dude.
Yeah.
Like,
No, I'm not doing the whole like there's good people
Yeah,
on both sides
no,
thing,
I know you're
because
not.
there
I know
aren't.
you're not.
But where I was going with that is that the way that those people in that group were portrayed is they're portrayed in that, wow, they're in a somewhat boring meeting in the same way that I'm in a somewhat
I
boring
get it.
meeting.
Yeah.
But their boring meeting just happens to be about how they want to eradicate a good chunk of the world. So that is just insane.
And how perfunctory it really those conversations are, that it is just part of their language. It's like, back to Shakespeare again. If I started to talk in a Shakespearean, or if I started spewing Shakespearean lines, you'd be like, what? Wait, what? But the amount of Shakespeare, which a lot of it comes from the Bible, by the way, that's in our language is very interesting, that we just say regularly and just don't think about it. Cruel to be kind, sweets for the sweets, to be or not to be, all of those, neither a lender nor a borrower be, all of those things come from Shakespeare. And I think 2 or 3 of those come from the Bible. But it's not in the Bible language. It's not in Shakespeare language, but yet we say it all the time. They're specifically speaking a language that is like the Bible / Shakespeare in rhythm and tone, not as in content by any stretch of the imagination, but it's so normalized to them that they don't even blink. They don't even blink about the purity of the blood or anything that just seems like something very Shakespearean to say, but yet it's just part of their conversation. So yeah, it is an interesting thing, because it's like you can almost hear the clock ticking on the wall because you're in that meeting and you almost want to see the Danishes on the table.
Yeah.
Were there Danishes on the table? Doesn't he offer him something to
I
eat
don't
when
think
he's
so.
down there? Oh no, that's just up there. Yeah.
It was upstairs. She's like, "Oh, can I make pancakes?" He's like, "Oh, is that your famous whatever pancakes?"
Crazy. Like,
Jeez.
can I borrow a cup of milk? Like, that's what that conversation really
Well,
is.
it's the whole like, "Oh, she's such a nice. They're such nice people.
Yeah.
They're so cordial."
Yeah, until they're take all their clothes off at the end of Rosemary's Baby, and you realize what's going on.
I don't know if you've seen Peacemaker. Have you watched that at all?
I love it.
Okay, so there was a reveal fairly recently in one of the episodes that has been set up all season, and that reveal is very similar, where it's just like it's the same. It's like, oh, everybody's so nice, and then you kind of start figuring it out. They put it out there, and things get. It's kind of an indictment on the audience, because it's kind of like, oh, you haven't noticed this?
And I indicted myself, because I was like, oh my gosh, I did not notice it at all. Not for a split. And I really noticed things like that. But I mean, I knew that there has to be something on what they're calling Planet X, the alternative multiverse doorway that he goes through. They call it something, I can't remember. But it's written in such a way that, you just, after watching movies for this long and seeing things for this long, something's up. There has to be a reason why he has to come back. Like, there just has to be. It can't be all this, even though, that cool ass motorcycle is in that planet, is in that world. But the fact that when they pointed it out right before they revealed, I was like, oh my gosh, how did I not notice that? Like, because usually I do. I will see billboards, I will see advertisements, I will look at pamphlets, and I will register how many people look like the whole society that we live in. And let me just side note, go back to something for a split second. I wasn't saying that, I wasn't trying to allude to the fact that you were both sides of the no, that's not what I was saying. I was saying that in the end, the actions, whether or not good, bad, or indifferent, end in 2 different results. And that, yes, you could talk about the resistance having bad actions, because they do horrible things. They kill people left and right. They rob banks to make the money, to do their thing.
They kill people.
They kill people. Yeah, they're not.
Yeah.
And in their mind, they're killing people for a reason. And obviously, it's the same on the other side, but just for different reasons. And it's neither whether or not one is better than the other. It's not like that. It's just, do the means what's the expression? The mean
do the ends justify
yes,
the
exactly.
means.
And you can't you have to have a conversation about it. And you're right, it's nuanced and there's a lot of stuff going on, and you have to use a lot of critical thinking to figure out where you actually stand. That's why the Peacemaker, to tie that back in, episode made me go, what? Like, I love it. I can't wait to watch tonight's episode. So we'll see. I might not do it tonight, but I'm afraid if I don't do it tonight, I won't be able to look at anything online or talk to anybody tomorrow, because this is it, right? This is the last.
I think so. I think it's
so
the
well
last
done,
episode.
extremely well done. My brother pointed this out to me. Did you notice that the cops' uniforms, the
MKU cops?
Well, all of the authority in the movies, they're all wearing different badges and different types of, there's no one set police force or military force. They're all wearing a combination of, well, of course my brother's military, so he did notice something like this, but he pointed it out to me. He was like, they're wearing this vest, which belongs to this. I don't know all the technical stuff. Sorry, Tom. Hi, Tom.
Okay.
Everybody say hi, Tom. But he pointed it out that their badges are kind of nonsensical. Like they don't really exist. And I thought,
well, MKU I think is not a real thing, but it's like alluding to MK Ultra, which is a CIA thing. But ultimately, I think it's kind of like Border Patrol. They're kind of like Border Patrol,
right,
in this movie.
But I found it interesting that once he pointed that out to me, that it didn't matter the specific unit that this authority comes from, that they're all one and the same with what they're doing and how they're doing it. So I thought that was fascinating. I was like, wow, I wouldn't have probably been technically able to pick up on that because I don't know enough about it. I don't really even know enough about to speak on it, but I thought that was fascinating. I thought it was an interesting choice where it's not about the Marines. It's not about Border Patrol. It's not about the local LAPD or wherever this takes place.
Doesn't need to be.
No, it's all the same stuff. It's all to represent the authority that they represent. Fascinating.
And the fact that they have enough power for Sean Penn to say, make me up a reason to go to Bacton Cross. Okay. Here you go. Here's a chicken packaging plant. Guess what? Now they have heroin in there. All right, we can go in there. It's that easy in this movie.
Uh-huh.
I don't know how easy it is in real life, but it's probably a number greater than 0.
Yeah. That's a good way to be diplomatic about that. Okay, so Sean Penn, don't hurt me.
No.
Okay.
Sean Penn is amazing.
Okay. I thought movie.
I want you to tell me why what he's doing is so difficult. I'm not saying it's not, but why is this performance? Well, I'll tell you this. Steven Spielberg in that interview with Paul Thomas Anderson said he thinks this is Sean Penn's best performance.
Hello?
But I don't know why.
Steven. Okay. It's not anything. The fact that we're having the conversation is the answer to your question. You don't need to know why. It just is. Okay. So you've seen me on stage a couple of times at this point. Isn't everything I do sort of just a little branch off of who I am as a person that you know?
Yeah.
And
I've seen you act in that way in different scenarios, but just as yourself. But you're just doing it as a character.
Correct. And then the tone and attitude of the character and the rhythm of the character is something you have to, if you're Sean Penn, you do that. If you're me, you adapt it to who you are to make it believable. So when it comes out of my mouth and the attributes, if it's written well, which the last play that you saw that I did was written well. So it came across as a character trait, not as a Paul James being believable by saying it how Paul James would say it. It had to be in confines of that actual character. So here's why Sean Penn is brilliant and why I think if he is nominated, which he will be, he's getting his 5th or 6th nomination. I can't remember how many, and he's going to be the front runner. There's no doubt about it. And everybody's, well, he has 2. Who cares? You know, Frances McDormand had 2, and now she has 3 Best Actresses. She's almost tied for Katharine Hepburn. So who cares? Jack Nicholson had 2, and then he had 1, then got a supporting, and then got another one. So it doesn't matter. And also that's a silly reason to like it's not silly. I understand it. They're just as good in this movie. They should be awarded. He's already has one. I could see how somebody could justify not voting for him because of that. But I digress. The thing that he does is Sean Penn's a character actor who's always kind of fooled us into believing he was a movie star, but he's a character actor. Everything about the way he walks. He is pigeon-toed in real life, not in this. His feet are straight on. Or he's pigeon-toed as characters. Not sure if that's him or not, but I'm pretty sure he's pigeon-toed in real life, if that's not a politically correct term. Sorry. His feet turn inward. And in this, they're straight out. And the way he purposely walks is character driven.
It kind of has like a
purposely
very uptight gait.
Right. Where his sphincter is tight, which is ironic because he allows her to do what I think she's doing to him in that movie.
Yeah.
Like it's incongruent with him as a person, that sexual act. Okay. That submissiveness that he allows himself to be able to be vulnerable enough to have that sexual act happen is not how he walks in the movie. He walks as if like he's the only human being who doesn't have that ability to go to the bathroom that way because he's so tight, it's closed up, But then the voice, like if you were to just hear him, would you have known that was Sean Penn immediately? I'm not sure. You think so? You think you would?
I don't know. He was in a show called The First about astronauts, and it was only one season, but I thought it was pretty good, but it got canceled after one season. It was on Hulu, but he played a very militaristic type guy, closed off emotions type guy in that. And so I kind of like equated those two performances. He was good in that. He's good in this. I mean, he's great in this. But yeah, I've heard him in that vein before, I guess. So, but either way, that doesn't take away from what he did. This
just had something different than what he normally does. And I've seen him do a lot of things. And a lot of people compare him to Johnny Depp, where Johnny Depp just goes like full force into character makeup and character voices and all the other stuff.
Yeah.
And the way he talks in Ed Wood is different than the way that he talks in Edward Scissorhands. When he played Whitey Bulger, he's different. I'm not a big fan of all that makeup situation. Jared Leto is kind of teetering into that issue for me. And now he's playing Skeletor, so who knows what's going to happen there.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, which is a weird choice, but okay, somebody believed in it. But the point is that there are things that I think if you didn't know who Sean Penn was and you were to watch Fast Times at Ridgemont High, it's a perfect example. And then to watch this, now they're 5 decades in between. So the age difference is obviously going to make a difference. But would anybody know that was the same person?
That's true. Yeah. I would never know that Spicoli is Lockjaw.
I Am Sam. Would anybody not believe that was a special needs person? Now, a lot of people have some problems with that movie because of the whole idea that we are imitating a person instead of allowing those people to be in the film. But that's an unfair assessment of that movie because a lot of the people who are in that film have some of those issues. And in particular, his core group of friends. Yeah. I mean, The Sweet and Low Down. Have you ever seen that Woody Allen film? He's so good in that too. And then you go back to Taps, where he plays another military person, military school person, and he has that rigidness, and he has that rigidness in Bad Boys. Is that rigidness in Mystic River too? Right. I almost said pizza. But have you ever seen the movie where he plays the guy who looks like Robert Smith from The Cure? And it's the name of a talking.
No, I know what you're talking about.
It's the name of a Talking
exactly
Head song.
About. Look it
the
up.
thing that he does with his voice is so odd and so like left of center. And then Harvey Milk.
This must be the
I love
place.
that movie. I think it's well done. I think it's extremely well done. There's a discussion between a young kid and him about who originated that song. And he's like, it's the Talking Heads, the way that he speaks in this movie. And then there's Harvey Milk. If you had told me Harvey Milk and the guy in One Battle After the Other is the same person, I don't think if I didn't know Sean Penn, like imagine never knowing Sean Penn as an actor and then seeing those movies back to back. It would take you a minute to put it together. Now, a couple decades in between, so age has something to do with it too. And by the way, he's in mad great shape. What is going on with these people in their 60s looking like nothing jiggles? Like, stop. Like, come on, we need some jiggle. Hey, I mean, it's inhuman.
That's why that that line that Chase Infinity has, that Willa has, it's like, why is your shirt so tight?
Oh,
you know?
so
Just
great.
like,
That's so great. There is a little bit of a homoerotic thing about that, and a traditional gay man might dress like that. And I think that's not supposed to be like a gay bashing thing, but it is supposed to be like, wait a second, you say you are who you are, you act this way, you're all Mr. Tough Guy, but wait a second, hey, you going to club later? So it's a way of getting at him without bashing a community.
Yeah, she knows that'll needle him, but not because of the community, because of his perception of a group of people.
Yeah, because, I'm a gay man. I wasn't offended by that, but I'm also, maybe somebody might be, but I thought, yeah, dude, what's the point? Why are you wearing that shirt? I don't even wear shirts that tight now. I don't look like that. And if I did, maybe that might be a different story. But I've never looked like that. But I've never worn shirts like that. But the point to all that is that the way he walks, the way he holds his body, his posture, his voice, his weird smile at the end of satisfaction, which ends up being the last thing he ever does. And by the way, side note, when that guy shuts that door for privacy, I was like, they're going to gas. Right. How do you know though? Like, how do you know?
It's because when it slides, you hear the air, like you hear it seal.
But what kind of brains do we have? Because all three of us had the same thing. My brother said the same thing. What kind of brains do we have that we know on some instinctual level he's going to get gassed? Like, what? Like,
also, do you know the guy who plays that character is Jim Downey, who is one of the head writer at SNL for years.
Didn't know that.
So he's a great comedic actor and also just comedic entity in the world. And so he was also in There Will Be Blood, and I recognized him immediately in this movie because I had just seen There Will Be Blood. He's the guy who plays. He plays the real estate person who has all the plots.
Why don't I have these?
Why don't I own that? He's the guy who's like, well, I told you, Mr. Bandy. That's him.
So you think the connection is Maya Rudolph? Like, is that how?
Oh, could be. Yeah, because I mean, he was with Maya Rudolph.
They've been
when he was shooting There Will Be Blood.
Oh yeah, they've been together quite a while now. They have like
we haven't even talked about the fact that he has 3 daughters with Maya Rudolph, who are all biracial.
Oh yeah.
So that builds into his,
I thought he had like 6 kids with her.
He has 3 daughters. I don't know how many kids that he has, but he does have 3 daughters.
With her? I thought they had like 6 kids together.
All right, I don't know.
Yeah, you can look that up. It's a lot more than I expected for them to have. I don't know why. It just kind of shocked me. And you're right. They are, and their mother's biracial. So yeah, that must hit a tone. And, but you know what? That's insignificant to most of the things in the movie, with the exception of obviously the big thread that, the Christmas adventurers follow through, and 4 total.
4 kids.
4 total. Okay. Yeah. 4 total. I thought for sure it was more than that. But still, that's a lot. Without the Sean Penn antagonistic part of the movie, or the antagonist of the movie, that biracial issue is not an issue with Leo's character and the other characters and all that other stuff. And obviously it becomes a tension when she has to take the DNA test, and the look she gives on his face or the look on her face when he swabs his mouth, and the way he does it,
she's like,
but the way he does it is so weird. It's so like, it's almost like he's changing his clothes in front of her and he just doesn't want her to see it. It's like, it's really odd. It's a really odd, odd choice. And so I don't really know how to explain to people why I think Sean Penn he's probably going to end up being my pick for supporting actor. And sometimes these things come early for me because remember Ariana Grande came early for me. Like I saw a trailer and I was like, there she is. And people were like, really? And I was like, yeah. Ryan Gosling in Barbie came early for me too. I was like, yep. And they were like, really? I was like, yep. So it will be a surprise if he gets overlooked, and that just depends on the competition. But I can't explain really why I think he's a great actor. I can just tell you what I felt when I was watching him. And it's a complete character, and the choices are strong and they're bold. And we talked about this a million times. Bold choices always win for me. I mean, you've seen me on stage. I mean, like I make huge, bold choices a lot of the times, and they seem to feel like they're working in the moment, right? They're hard to repeat though. That's for sure. Especially as things go awry with other things and rhythms and stuff like that. And then you find yourself trying to force yourself into that motion when you should just let whatever's going to happen. And eventually it comes back to you. Anyway, so it's hard to, it's like, and we've talked about this a million times, it's hard to look at a painting and tell you why I think that's a great painting. I can only tell you that I felt this way. I immediately, from the moment he opened his mouth, I was like, this is going to be a ride. Like he's going to be something. And I knew who he was going to be. I knew the character I was getting ready to watch, but the amount of strange dialogue that they have together, and Leo doesn't have as much. Leo's got less. Benicio del Toro has a little bit. But all of the women have this David Mamet Shakespeare thing going on, and Sean Penn does too. And imagine those words on the page and reading it. Would you be able to read it in character in your mind if it was a character in a book? If it's well written, it would be. You would be able to. So that's a long-winded answer to, I'm not sure how to explain to people why I think that he's great in this film. All I can say, and some people might think that he's overacting, and some people might think that it's technically a great performance when it's lacking something for them emotionally, but that's untrue for me too. He gets all like emotional about becoming part of this Christmas Adventurer Club, and the sincerity behind his answers when he's being interviewed, and he's being very militaristic, but at the same time, you can see in the back of his mind, he really wants it, and he's trying to hold back how much he really, how after the career that this military guy has had, that he needs this as a validation, but yet he needs this as a validation, but yet he's super attracted and had super weird sex with a very, 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 she's so obviously African-American that it is completely contradictive to what he wants to be in the Snow White world of the Christmas Adventurer.
But that's the fetishization. So he's fetishizing a whole
I think he loves her.
Group of people.
I think he's in love with her.
He probably does love
and she
her.
I can't say it.
Fetishize? Yeah.
Say it again.
Fetish eyes.
Fetish eyes. She does that to him too, because that strengthened that military thing and all that other stuff.
Well, I think being able to dominate someone who has power. She always seeks power.
Yeah, okay.
In all of the things that she does, she is seeking power.
And that person, just like she is the polar opposite of what he should be attracted to according to what he wants to be in this world. Same with her. She makes him her fetish when he is what she's fighting against. So
it's also, for her, it's also taboo.
Right.
Like it's taboo to like this guy.
Same with him.
And that makes her want to like him more. And then it's taboo for him to like her. So blah, blah, blah.
Like, I think is a kind of a strong word. Has the hots for, as sexually attractive.
Yeah, to be attracted to. Yeah.
And what's interesting about it is that's never a scene. That's never a scene about them contemplating or saying, I shouldn't be with you and all that other stuff. There's never that scene. They just have this force, and they have to be together. And listen, I know we've talked a lot about a lot of people, but Regina Hall needs to be pointed out again too. That scene in the car is superb. That she is really great in this, and she has a much smaller part than, seemingly a much smaller part, even though she's a little bit bigger than the other ones.
It's only like 3
Yeah.
scenes. It really
But
is only like 3 scenes.
when she comes back in the film, when she shows up in the bathroom, I was like, okay, I feel better she's here. I don't know why she's here, and I don't think I'm going to like why she's here. And this is not going to be good for this character, meaning Willa. But I'm glad this force of nature is back. She's something else. She's very good in this. Like, regardless of what happens with the Oscar nominations, not one of them should doubt that they are on their A game in this film, all of them. And to have just 3 scenes, and for me to make sure for the last at least half an hour, I've been saying, talk again about Regina Hall, get her back into the conversation, because I want people to understand that I did not miss her performance. Her performance is stellar. It's just, it's small and big deal in a way. I mean, Beatrice Straight has a Oscar for a 5-minute scene in Network. So, you can never tell with stuff like that, but it would be nice that like they stack the category. Like that would be so great. Like 3 of them from this film.
Oh
so
my
great.
gosh.
It would be
Wow.
so great. So great.
That'd be cool.
Or let the 2 supporting characters, really supporting characters, take those nominations and give Chase Infinity the
lead.
Yeah. People would be very happy
That would
about it.
work.
Very happy.
That would
None of
work.
it matters. None of that matters in the long run, except for those people who haven't heard about the film until the Oscar nominations come out. The bottom line is this movie works on so many different levels. It's so layered with stuff. It's so intricate. It's a chase movie. It's a war movie. It's a comedy. It's
a dystopian comedy.
It's crazy how he gets it all right. And I'm not saying I know why he gets it all right and cannot even articulate an hour and a half worth of talking about the movie in the right way to make people understand why he got it right. But I immediately knew in 2 minutes and I'd heard a few things about the film up to that point, and I started resisting it all because I didn't want it but I knew immediately in 2 minutes. I was like, listen, you have said before that you don't know if Paul Thomas Anderson or David Fincher would ever be Oscar winning. And I said, time will tell. And it is time. And this is a masterpiece. It is one of the best films of the year so far, if not going to be the best film of the year. It is intriguing. It's interesting. It's infinitely watchable. And it's also one of those films that if we had old school cable and it came on, you would pop into it wherever it was at and continue watching it to the end. No matter where, even if it's 15 minutes before the end, you would watch it to the end. Even if it's an hour and a half to the end, you would watch it from that point on to the end, because there's so many things going on that, and I'll leave you with this. Remember when they're running across the roof with the skater boys? So funny. And the skater boys are doing the little skate poses and stuff like that. My brother and I were laughing.
They're like doing parkour.
Yes,
and he's
yes,
just like, oh
yes,
crap.
right. Oh, yes. And there's that moment right before he jumps over and falls, where one of them jumps over and he just kind of goes askew for just a split second. And as an audience member, you're like, wait, slow down. You might want to look. Slow down. Nope, he's not looking. Oh, that's why you should have looked. And it's all indicated by the young skater moving just a certain way. That's genius. That's so subtle, but so large. I saw it. It's completely contradictive to what normally would happen in a scene like that, because that is traditionally kind of a normal looking scene if you think about it. We've seen it a million times. Tom Cruise runs over all those roofs in Mission Impossible, but because they're doing parkour, is that what it's called? When they're doing, I love it. I so love it. But did you notice that moment when they go over?
I didn't notice him. I just noticed their demeanor is very just
right.
They're just
but when they
rabbits,
get to that moment, there's just a split weirdness to it. And I was like, maybe you should. Nope. That's why.
And you're on the ground.
Hilarious.
And then he gets up, but then it's just like a hat on a hat, because he hits the ground and then he gets up and then immediately gets tased. You're just like, you're shocked as an audience member that he just fell 40 feet to the ground through a tree. And then you don't even have time to process that before he gets tased.
So good. So good. I can't wait to see it
And
again.
then also the topper onto that is when the kid calls Sensei, and the kid's like, "Hey, your boy, he just fell 40 feet and got tased by the cops." And then the first thing that he asks is like, "You got my gun?"
Yeah.
He's like, "Oh yeah, I got your gun."
Yeah.
He's like, "Oh,
Yeah.
okay, all right. Well, we'll figure
The
something out."
inflection to that young skater's delivery is great too, because there's a little bit of a pause. He's like, he fell, and then there's this little bit of a pause, and then he got tased. Like there's this weird little movement there that's hilarious. So good.
All right. Well, I think we've done it. We've talked about everything in one battle after another.
Well, I don't know.
Nothing else to
I
talk
don't
about.
know about all that, but
That's the cool part, is that like you could spend 5 hours talking about this movie and you'd still have more to dig into. There's so much stuff. We didn't even talk about like Perfidia's name, like perfidy is betrayal. That's what the word means, is betrayal. So, I mean, it's all those little things sprinkled in everywhere. So, and there's even more stuff that I'm sure that we're not picking up.
it's so layered and so complex. Like, you're 100% correct. You can talk about the political landscape of today that we're living in versus what's going on in the film and compare it like I did, even though it was written before. I mean, there is so much there that it's going to be interesting because it's doing well in the box office. It's not doing bad at all. But when it does explode on streaming, the conversations are going to be interesting. It's going to be, this is the type of movie that you can get a take on a person you might work with that you don't know a whole lot about. But when they say their opinion about something like this, you can kind of go, that's interesting. Like, maybe in a good way, maybe not in a good way, but people tell on themselves by their likes. Like, they just do. And so it's going to be interesting because this film is loaded with it.
Definitely. All right. Well, you can check us out on the web at actorandengineer.com. You go to facebook.com/actorandengineer, and you can find us on YouTube. Just search for the Actor and the Engineer podcast, and we'll see you next time.